Mr. Ambassador, for that wonderful introduction, I guess, right? That was good with me. And thank you for representing, Bill, so well the interests of the American people in Japan and the incredible relationship that you have with Japan. We really appreciate you doing a fantastic job. We very much appreciate it. Thank you. Let me begin today by addressing the horrific shooting in Sutherland Springs, Texas. Our thoughts and prayers are with the victims and families of today's horrible and murderous attack. This act of evil occurred as the victims and their families were in their place of sacred worship. We cannot put into words the pain and grief we all feel, and we cannot begin to imagine the suffering of those who lost the ones they so dearly loved. Our hearts are broken, but in dark times, and these are dark times, such as these, Americans do what they do best. We pull together. We join hands, we lock arms, and through the tears and through the sadness, we stand strong, oh so strong. My administration will provide its full support to the great state of Texas and all local authorities investigating this horrible crime. I've spoken just a few minutes ago with Governor Abbott, and we offer our thanks to the first responders, the FBI, all of the many people involved, both federal and otherwise. Ultimately, they stopped the suspect and rendered immediate life-saving aid to certain victims of the shooting. I will continue to follow the developments closely. All of America is praying to God to help the wounded and the families of the victims. We will never, ever leave their side, ever. With that being said, we are here today in Japan with one of our closest and most cherished allies. Through bad times and good times, through rain and through shine. I want to thank Secretary Tillerson, Rex, who's done a tremendous job of leading the dedicated men and women of the Department of State here in Japan and around the world. The splendor and beauty of Japan has left a lasting impression on me and my family. And I want to thank the First Lady for being with us. Melania, please stand. She's become a very, very popular First Lady, I can tell you. Whenever I speak, they have hundreds of signs out in the audience. We love our First Lady, which is so true. Thank you. And our warmest admiration for this ancient culture. It's an ancient culture, and its customs are ancient, and it's terrific. Over the weekend, Ivanka attended the World Assembly for Women with Prime Minister Abe, who I was with all day yesterday. I applaud the Prime Minister, and he's a terrific person, by the way, for his dedication to advancing women in the workforce, and I share his commitment to empowering women in business and in all professions. This morning, I am pleased to have an opportunity to discuss how we can strengthen and improve the economic ties between the United States and Japan. And I have to say, for the last many decades, Japan has been winning. You do know that. For the actually last 70 years, cooperation between our two countries has helped us to pioneer incredible advances in commerce, in science, medicine, and technology. Our students study together, our scholars exchange ideas, and business leaders like you work together to invest in a better, more prosperous future for both of our nations. I know many of the leaders in this room have helped to build Japan into the center for commerce and innovation that it is today, and I want to commend you for your incredible achievements in so many areas. And I looked at a list of the people in the room. They are truly the leaders of industry. I congratulate you all. Names that in many cases I haven't met, but I know you well from reading about you on the covers of every business magazine and sometimes well beyond the business magazine. So congratulations. Fantastic job you've done in building some of the greatest companies in the world, and it's an honor to be working with you. We want to thank and make the United States, for the people in this room and well beyond this room, the most attractive place for you to hire, invest, and to grow. That's why we are very, very substantially lowering our taxes. The United States is one of the highest tax nations in the world. But it's also a market like no other. It's by far the biggest market in the world. Its numbers are phenomenal over the last, since November 8th, Election Day. Our unemployment is at a 17-year low. We've gotten almost 2 million more people in the workforce in just that short period of time. I've reduced regulations terrifically, frankly, if I do say so myself, but at a level that nobody else has ever done. I've done more in 9 months in terms of the reduction of regulations than any president has done in a full term, and it's not even close. And if it were close, they will let you know about it tomorrow morning, believe me. They will tell you about it, but it's not even close. The stock market reached an all-time high on Friday, and that's the 61st, I believe, something around that number, 61st time that's happened, so we have a lot of happy people in this room because your stocks are right in there. And look at you, you're smiling, very happy. What company? What company? Oh, that's another big one. That's a great company. Are you happy? You happy with your job? Good. Come here, give me your hand. That is some company, too. Congratulations, you've done a great job. But it's reached an all-time high. I believe it's maybe in a neighborhood of 61 times during the course of from November 8th. And so we're honored by that. GDP growth, very importantly, we hit 3.2 last quarter, 3.2. And this time we hit 3, and we figure a good point. I would say a good solid point for hurricanes. We had 4 horrific hurricanes, as everybody knows, and did a tremendous damage to Texas and Florida and Puerto Rico, Virgin Islands, and Louisiana, and even Alabama was affected, and other places, Georgia. And we figured at least a point. So I was going to close my eyes a little bit when the numbers came out, and the number came out at 3. That would mean that it would have been 4, and GDP at 4 was unthinkable, actually unthinkable when I was running. And I said we could do it. They were saying maybe you could hit 2, 2.5. My first quarter was 1. We were in the ones. And so we're at 3, and now 3.2, and again, without the hurricanes, I think we would have been 4 or very close to 4. So that's GDP of 4. That was not something that people thought of in the first 3 or 4 years, and we've already hit it. And we will continue to. On regulations, while I've reduced regulations terrifically, it would take, as an example, to build a highway, it would take 17 to 20 years to get approvals. And at the end of the 20th year, in many cases, they voted it down. Do you approve? No. So they wasted tens of millions of dollars. There's a highway in Maryland where it took exactly 17 years. And the original numbers were very little, and it ended up costing hundreds of millions of dollars for a very small, short highway. And we can't have that. So we're trying to bring that number down from anywhere from 13 to 20 years. We're trying to bring it down to 1 year. You want to build a road? You want to build a highway? You want to build a school? You want to build a factory, most importantly to the folks in this room, or a plant? You're going to have your approvals very, very quickly. Now, you may be rejected quickly, too, but that's okay. If you reject it quickly, you don't want to be rejected at the end of the 17th year. I approved a power plant which has been under consideration for 11 years, and they gave up, and I approved it. And it's a $7 billion plant. And the state wanted it, and the local community wanted it, but they had environmental restrictions, and now it's being built. The Dakota Access Pipeline, and as you know, the Keystone Pipeline, that was rejected by the previous administration. The Keystone Pipeline was dead, and the Dakota Access Pipeline was even worse shape because they built it, but they weren't allowed to hook it up. So I consider not starting even better than that. And in my first week, I approved both. It's 42,000 jobs. The Dakota's already open, and Keystone is starting. It's actually already started. And that was done in the first week. Got it approved. And we have many other things like that. I could stand here all day and tell you additional events that we've done that create jobs and are good for our country, not bad for our country. When you want to build your auto plants, you will have your approvals almost immediately. We're working to counter the dangerous aggressions of the regime in North Korea. The regime continued development of its unlawful weapons programs, including its illegal nuclear tests and outrageous launches of ballistic missiles directly over Japanese territory, are a threat to the civilized world and international peace and stability. We will not stand for that. The era of strategic patience is over. Some people said that my rhetoric is very strong, but look what's happened with very weak rhetoric over the last 25 years. Look where we are right now.
There's crime.